Obviously, we're about 25, just not about, we are 25% through the season. So at least there's enough on the plate to make semi-definitive, to take semi-definitive positions here. And we'll do that over the course of the interview. But I got to get your thoughts on Odell Beckham. It's obviously the big story, the meltdowns. It hasn't gone away. It's a big challenge for Coach McAdoo. Eli's expressed annoyance, which he rarely does. What do you make of this, Peter? How does this wind up?
I make it that a lot of great talents in all sports are going to have rough patches at the beginning of their careers before they grow up. And I just think this is, I think sometimes, and I think Tiki would be really good to talk about this because, look, Tiki did not enter the NFL as this transcendent talent. He didn't enter the NFL and, going to start opening day and he's going to be the answer to the Giants' problems or anything like that. He came in, moderately celebrated player out of Virginia, and he worked his way into a position of great prominence so that by year 6, 7, 8, whatever, there's no better all-around running back in football. And so Tiki Barber basically comes in and he earns his way and he has some rough goes and he fumbles and everything. But anyway, he basically earns his way there. So on the way there, he's beaten down a little bit. Well, Odell Beckham Jr. comes in and he's like the best player on the team almost from the time he steps in there. And everybody's telling him how wonderful he is. And the first time he truly hits a tough patch is when he goes up against Josh Norman last year, and everybody's criticizing him. And then he's gone, 6 games now without scoring a touchdown. So there's a little bit more criticism for him. And then maybe a marginal call goes against him in this game. So now in the Minnesota game, so now he starts sulking.
Yeah.
It's just, you just can't. He's going to grow out of it, I think. But I think everybody is right to stand up, and Eli Manning is right to stand up at the end of the game and say, in essence, kids, you got to grow up. We can't have that.
Peter, this Giants team a little bit, and you've been around it enough. But who is the person that can kind of direct him? I don't want to say snatch him back from the edge, but, direct him to where they need him to be, because with him acting that way, it may not be a disruption in the locker room, but it looks bad, and it gives us consumers, both media and fans, an excuse for some of their failures.
I totally agree. I think it has to be somebody on that team who he really respects. I think that it's one thing for Eli to do it, but Eli is going to say the stuff that essentially is to be expected. And I don't know how, even though they went to the same high school in New Orleans, and I'm sure know each other well for a while, I don't know that he's the guy. I think in this case that whether he likes it or not, he's got to listen. He's got to listen to his head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think that one of the things, even though as much as I admire Tom Coughlin, that's one of the things last year toward the end of the year that really made it hard for Tom Coughlin to keep coaching the team. He looked the other way for most of the game against Carolina. And so to me, I just think it's got to be a coaching deal. And it also has to be a peer deal, whether it be Victor Cruz or whoever he's close to on the team.
Mm-hmm.
They got to just say, hey, man, settle down.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is, when I heard him say that, how everybody is against him, the officials are against him, they want to see him fail. Are you crazy?
Oh, he's so immature. It's ridiculous.
You know how exciting a player Odell Beckham Jr. is?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see him fail other than fans of the opponents in the division and maybe Josh Norman.
Just on that given day, they actually probably want to see him be successful on any other given day because of how amazing he is.
Yeah.
Peter King with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Great website, and Peter's been connected to the game for a long time, and as connected as anybody, themmqb.com. Peter, 25% of the way through, enough evidence to at least draw, some strong conclusions. Let me ask you this. I hate to start with a negative, but of all the teams that are getting some love right now for winning, good records and a position to do something, which team do you think might be on borrowed time, where the start isn't necessarily reflective of the finish?
Well, I'd say the one team that I think that I still don't think can stick with it long term is the Rams. Um, I just question whether, even though, hey, Case Keenum's 6-2 in his last 8 starts, he's better than we all give him credit for. But at the end of the day, the Rams are going to have to play some games where their offense is going to win the game. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can do that when you go in and play Tampa Bay. But the question is, when you go in, you have to win. You have to put up some points against good teams, good defenses. How are you going to do? And so probably the Rams are the one team at this point that, hey, I applaud them. Who loses 28-0 in the first game of the year to a bad team, as it turns out, in San Francisco, and then wins the next 3 in a row? It's been an incredible run for the Rams.
Yeah, Peter, talking about the Rams, coming into the season, we had these questions, and I'm sure you heard them and had to have opinions about it, around Jeff Fisher and his job status and the fact that he's getting extensions for mediocrity. But it brings us to this point in the season. There have been some names that we've started to throw out there. Rex kind of pushed it away by beating the Patriots. And I think down in Jacksonville, Gus Bradley pushed it away by getting the win over in London.
For now.
But yeah, for now. But Mike McCoy, I mean, the way that they've lost games this year, because they should have won multiple of them. Is he on real short time right now?
Tiki, I would just say this, that I think when you look at their game on Sunday, and you look at having a 13-point lead with the ball in your hands against New Orleans with 7.5 minutes to go. Now, I read everything, I heard everything after the game on Sunday, that people are furious with McCoy. How do you do this? Travis Benjamin fumbles on one play almost without being touched. He was lightly touched on that play. And then Melvin Gordon fumbles on the other series, in the last 7 minutes. So I'm sorry, I can't work up the pitchfork mob to get rid of Mike McCoy. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to survive or saying that he should survive. We're only 4 games into it. But that game was not an example of Mike McCoy messing up. I mean, that game, should have been a 20-point rout of the New Orleans Saints if either one of those guys can hang on to the ball.
Talking to Peter King with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Peter's website, themmqb.com. All right, he's back. So, listen, we all know that Brady will be rested, will be focused, will be driven to shove it down everybody's throat, starting with the commish. The rust factor, can you quantify that? What exactly do you expect from Tom this week against Cleveland?
In order to know that, I think you'd also have to know, what are we going to get out of Rob Gronkowski this weekend? Pro Football Focus had a great stat that, obviously Gronkowski didn't play the first 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks where he has suited up, he has been involved in 14 pass plays. So, I mean, he's been an absolute, total, unequivocal non-factor in the Patriots season so far. If you were to tell me that Gronkowski is going to be healthy and he's going to play 65 snaps this week in Cleveland, then I would tell you I really like Brady to come out and win 38-10 and all is right with the Patriots world. But if you can't tell me that, then I'm going to say, obviously, I like the Patriots to win. I like the Patriots to win by probably a lot. But they are an absolute different team when Rob Gronkowski either is invisible or not used.
Yeah, yeah. Just quickly to follow up on the Browns here, because they're obviously the butt of many jokes, but I know that you see what we see. There's remnants of something interesting here with Hugh
Yeah.
Jackson, some young offensive weapons. I know it's bleak this year in terms of record wise, but I think they're moving in the right direction. How about you?
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I think they would have moved in the right direction faster had they taken Carson Wentz instead of trading it away
Oh
for
yeah, that
future
that
draft
little
choices.
sidebar. That's true.
Yeah, but I do think that when I watch them play, I said this about Hugh Jackson when he got the job. I said, look, they're probably not going to have a lot of success early, but just hang with this guy, please, please, please. Give this guy 3 years, because what's going to happen is they're going 2-14 the first year or whatever. Pick a number, 4-12. I don't know.
We were
It
thinking 0
doesn't
and
matter.
16, but I hear you.
It well, it might be, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, the whole thing now is about finding your guys and your nucleus of talent for the next 2 or 3 years. Now, I think the really big question for the Browns coming up is at the trading deadline this year, will they be tempted for a big package to get rid of either Joe Thomas or Joe Hayden? And if I were them, I definitely wouldn't. Joe Thomas is the kind of guy that physically, he certainly, without any question, could play another 4 or 5 years. I mean, I say could based on how he feels now and the fact that he still really likes the game. So you're going to need a left tackle, for years 3, 4, and 5 of that. So use the guy who you've invested all this time and money into this point. So I mean, I think that if you give this guy time and you allow him this coming year to pick another quarterback high in the draft, whoever it is,
Mm-hmm.
I think that things can change definitely for the Browns.
Yeah, and there's some quarterbacks coming, whether it's Watson from Clemson, obviously Notre Dame's quarterback's pretty interesting. Peter
Josh
King.
Rosen too, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Rosen, UCLA.
Yeah.
Peter King with us here on Tiki and Tierney, the MMQB.com.
Peter, you're always gracious to join us and chat about SeatGeek as well. Look, I went to the New York Philharmonic for my wife's 30th birthday last week, and I actually looked on SeatGeek to try to find some seats. But you can obviously you do it
they
for
have
sports.
The Philharmonic
They
on
did.
SeatGeek
They
or not?
did. They did. They were really expensive, and I ended up waiting, and then I got them actually on the Philharmonic site as well. But you can use SeatGeek for really anything.
Well, I used it last night. It took me 86 seconds to buy 2 tickets to the Giants and Mets playoff game because I want to see Bumgarner and Syndergaard.
Nice.
But it's ease of use. I love it. I just go on there, and 86 seconds later, I'm printing out my ticket.
Yeah, that works.
It's a simple way to go, and it's really a convenient way to go see whatever game you want to see.
Hey, Peter, we know that you're a huge Red Sox fan, and it's been a magical year for David Ortiz. Do you think they get it done for him in walk-off fashion, so to speak, as he rides into the sunset?
I don't know. Something about this year, I don't know. When they've gotten on a roll, they're better than anybody, but their rolls have been inconsistent. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that they do it. I don't have a great feel. I ended up picking Cleveland over the Cubs in the series, but
Wow.
we'll see. I think there's nobody that you absolutely love without scars. So I think it's going to be a fun postseason.